Have you ever found yourself face to face with someone trying to intimidate you with words, pressuring you, trying to make you feel small, and the only thing you could do was stay silent, swallow your rage, and think hours later about what you should have said? Have you felt that powerlessness of knowing you lacked that perfect response, that phrase that would have put the other person in their place, that would have shown you're not someone to mess with? Maybe it was a coworker who humiliated you in front of others. Maybe it was someone on the street who spoke to you with contempt, or even someone close who constantly crosses your boundaries and treats you as if you were invisible. And the worst part isn't just that moment, but what comes after. That feeling that stays with you for days that you're weak, that you don't know how to defend yourself, that anyone can walk all over you. You see other men who respond with calm, with authority, who with just a few words make whoever was attacking them back down, and you wonder what they have that you don't. The truth is that what most men lack isn't courage, it's technique. It's knowing exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to do it, to verbally disarm any bully without losing control, without falling into their game, without lowering yourself to their level, but making it absolutely clear that you're not someone to mess with. Before continuing, I need to make something clear to you. This video wasn't created to entertain you with flashy images or quick edits that keep your attention artificially. It was designed to teach you something that can radically change the way you relate to the world, especially with those who try to dominate you. The value is in every word you're going to hear, not in what appears on the screen. There are no visual tricks here, just pure verbal strategy. If you came looking for superficial content to pass time, this isn't your place. But if you really want to learn to defend yourself verbally like someone with Thomas Shelby's presence would, then pay absolute attention to what's coming, because every technique I'm going to share with you can be the difference between being respected or being trampled. I've spent years studying how men of real power handle verbal confrontation, and something I learned observing leaders like Thomas Shelby is that real control isn't demonstrated by shouting louder or being more aggressive. It's demonstrated by maintaining absolute calm while the other person loses theirs. Shelby never raises his voice when someone challenges him. In fact, he does exactly the opposite. He lowers his tone, slows down his speech, and stares at his opponent until they realize they made a mistake thinking they could intimidate him. That's the first fundamental lesson most men don't understand, that responding to aggression with more aggression only shows the other person has power over you, that they can pull you out of your center easily. Bullies, those who seek to impose themselves through fear or humiliation, operate on a very simple psychological pattern. They need an emotional reaction to feel powerful. If you react by defending yourself desperately, justifying yourself, raising your voice, or showing nervousness, you've already lost. You gave them exactly what they were looking for, confirmation that they have control over your emotional state. That's why the foundation of all the verbal tricks I'm going to teach you today rests on an unbreakable principle: maintaining absolute emotional control while you dismantle their narrative piece by piece. I'm going to share with you 6 specific verbal techniques that I've studied in real situations. Techniques that strategic men have used in environments where weakness is paid dearly, from boardrooms to much more hostile settings, and that you can apply immediately in any context of your life. The first technique is what I call the calm mirror. When someone attacks you verbally, especially if they do it aggressively or sarcastically, the instinctive response is to counterattack or defend yourself. Both are mistakes. What you should do is reflect their behavior so calmly and controlled that they themselves are forced to look in the mirror and realize how ridiculous they look. It works like this. If someone says something like, "Who do you think you are to talk to me like that?" you don't respond with another aggressive question or a weak justification. You respond with a deliberate pause. Look at them directly and say something like, "Interesting, that's your reaction. What exactly bothered you about what I said?" Notice what you just did. You didn't deny. You didn't justify yourself. You didn't attack. You simply returned responsibility for the emotion to whoever generated it and put them in a position where now they have to explain themselves. Most bullies don't know what to do when their aggression is received with absolute calm and with a question that forces them to think. This technique works because it breaks the expected pattern. The bully expects fear, justification, or counterattack. When they receive none of the three and instead receive a cold and analytical response, their brain enters confusion and loses momentum. Thomas Shelby uses this constantly. When someone threatens him, he doesn't threaten back immediately. First he pauses, processes, and then responds with a calm that makes the other's threat sound empty and desperate. The second technique is the disarming agreement. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's devastatingly effective. When someone attacks you expecting you to defend yourself, you do something that completely disarms their strategy. You agree with a part of what they said, but you reframe it in such a way that you eliminate the poison from their comment. For example, if someone says you're arrogant and think you know everything, the instinctive response would be, "I'm not arrogant," or "Who are you to tell me that?" Both put you in a defensive position. Instead, with the disarming agreement, you respond something like, "You're right. I have strong opinions about certain topics, and I understand that can make some people uncomfortable." What did you just do? You took the core of their attack, stripped it of its negative emotional charge, reconverted it into a neutral or even positive characteristic, and left implicit that their discomfort is their problem, not yours. This technique works because the attacker expected resistance, expected you to get defensive so they could keep attacking. By agreeing, even partially and with your own interpretation, you take away all their power. They have nothing to push against. It's like trying to punch water. There's no resistance, no satisfaction. Additionally, by reframing their attack in your own terms, you demonstrate that you control the frame of the conversation, not them. Weak men defend themselves. Strong men redefine the battlefield. The third technique is the devastating Socratic question. Socrates was right about something fundamental. The right questions destroy false arguments much better than any statement. When someone attacks you or tries to impose their narrative on you, instead of contradicting them directly, you ask them questions that force them to explain the logic behind their position until they themselves realize they don't have any. For example, if someone tells you you're not good at this job, you don't respond, "Of course I am," or "Go to hell." You respond with a calm and genuinely curious question. "Interesting. What specifically did you observe that makes you reach that conclusion?" Now the bully has to justify themselves, has to give concrete examples, has to argue. And this is where most collapse, because verbal attacks are almost always emotional and vague. They're not based on facts. When you force them to be specific, either they can't and get exposed, or they give weak reasons that you can easily dismantle. And if they give valid reasons, then you learned something useful about yourself. Either way, you won. This technique is especially powerful because it keeps your posture completely neutral and rational. You're not attacking, you're not defending, you're just asking for clarity. And culturally, asking for clarity is seen as reasonable, which gives you the moral advantage in front of any observer. Shelby does this masterfully when someone accuses him of something. He never denies immediately. First he asks, "What exactly do you think I did?" and lets the accuser sink in their own contradictions. The fourth technique is strategic silence. This is something most men don't master because they're afraid of silence. They feel they have to fill every pause with words, that they have to respond immediately or they'll seem weak. The truth is exactly the opposite. Silence is one of the most powerful verbal weapons that exists. When someone says something designed to provoke you, to hurt you, or to make you react, and you simply look at them in silence for 3, 4, 5 seconds without saying anything, without breaking eye contact, something fascinating happens in the attacker's mind. They start to doubt. They start to wonder if what they said had any effect. They start to feel the discomfort of the silence they themselves generated. And in most cases, they end up speaking again to fill that void. And when they do, they almost always weaken their initial position or reveal more than they wanted to. Silence also gives you time to process, to decide what's the best response instead of reacting impulsively. Reactive men say the first thing that comes to mind. Strategic men take their time, process, and then respond with precision. Additionally, silence communicates something profound. It communicates that it didn't affect you, that what they said doesn't even deserve an immediate response, that you decide when and how to participate in the conversation. It's a demonstration of absolute control. Think about how Thomas Shelby uses silence. There are scenes where someone threatens or insults him, and he simply looks at them, smokes his cigarette, and the silence becomes so heavy that the other person starts to sweat. That's the difference between a man who reacts and a man who acts. The fifth technique is redirection with authority. This is for those moments when someone tries to derail a conversation or meeting by attacking you personally, and you need to regain control of the frame without entering their game. It works like this. Someone says something like, "Your idea is ridiculous," or "You always say stupid things." Instead of defending your idea or attacking back, you redirect the conversation toward the real topic, and you do it with such authority that it's clear you're not willing to waste time on childishness. You respond something like, "I understand you have a different opinion, let's get back to the real point. What's your specific proposal to solve this problem?" What did you do? First, you acknowledge their existence but without giving emotional weight to their attack. Second, you redirected the conversation back to the topic that matters. Third, you put the burden on them to contribute constructively instead of just criticizing. This is devastating because you exposed their game in front of everyone. If they had something constructive to contribute, now they have to do it. If they were just attacking for the sake of attacking, they're exposed as someone who has nothing real to say. This technique works especially well in group contexts because it demonstrates leadership. It demonstrates that you're focused on results while the other is focused on ego. People respect whoever keeps the conversation productive, not whoever sabotages it with personal attacks. The sixth and final technique is the calibrated counterattack. Up to now, I've taught you techniques that are mainly defensive or neutralizing, but there are moments when you need to counterattack, not with blind aggression, but with surgical precision. The calibrated counterattack means you identify the weak point of the attacker, the insecurity or hypocrisy behind their attack, and you expose it calmly but lethally. For example, if someone who constantly arrives late to meetings tells you you're disorganized, your calibrated counterattack would be something like, "It's interesting you talk about organization considering you've been late to the last 4 meetings. What did you do?" You didn't insult them. You didn't get emotional. You simply pointed out an objective fact that destroys their moral credibility to attack you. This works because you expose hypocrisy without falling into the emotional. Facts are unbeatable. The key to the calibrated counterattack is that it must be factual, it must be relevant to the topic, and it must be said with the same calm with which you'd point out that it's raining. Without emotion, without visible malice, just pure hard truth. This completely demoralizes the attacker because they realize you have information about them, that you're attentive, and that if they continue attacking, you have more ammunition to respond. Thomas Shelby is a master at this. When someone accuses him of something, he doesn't just defend himself. He returns the blow by pointing out exactly what that someone has to hide. And he does it so naturally it seems almost like a casual conversation. But everyone present understands perfectly what just happened. Now, these 6 techniques are tools, and like any tool, their effectiveness depends on who uses them and how they use them. It's not about memorizing phrases or prefabricated responses. It's about internalizing the principle behind each technique so that in the real moment, when you're under pressure, you can apply them naturally. What separates men who are respected from those who are trampled isn't that the former are never attacked. It's that they know exactly how to respond when they are. And that response is never emotional, never desperate, always strategic. There's something deeper you need to understand about handling verbal confrontation. When someone tries to intimidate or humiliate you with words, what they're really doing is projecting their own weakness. Men who are secure in themselves don't need to attack others to feel powerful. Verbal bullies are, at their core, insecure men who found a way to feel big by making others feel small. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop taking attacks personally because you understand they have nothing to do with you and everything to do with the attacker's insecurities. And from that understanding, you can respond with an almost compassionate calm, not because you're weak or passive, but because you understand the psychological game being played and you know that you control your participation in it. Men like Thomas Shelby are feared and respected not because they're the most aggressive or the loudest, but because they're the most controlled. In a world where most men react impulsively to every provocation, the one who maintains calm and responds strategically becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability generates respect because others never know if you're holding back by choice or because you're calculating the perfect moment to destroy them. That ambiguity is pure power. Before finishing, if this content is bringing you real value, if you feel these techniques can change the way you face the world, I ask you a simple but important favor. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. I don't do it out of vanity. I do it because I need to know if this type of deep content, without flashy editing or empty entertainment, really resonates with you. Every like and every subscription tells me there are men out there who want real development, who want applicable tools, who want to become the best version of themselves. And that motivates me to keep creating this content for you. So if this video helped you, show it. One click, 2 seconds of your time, and you help me reach more men who need to hear this. Let me leave you with a final reflection. Every time someone tries to humiliate you verbally and you respond with these techniques, with control, with strategy, with absolute calm, you're doing something much more important than simply winning that specific confrontation. You're training your mind to function under pressure. You're reprogramming your automatic responses from reactive to strategic. You're building a reputation as a man who can't be emotionally manipulated. And over time, something extraordinary starts to happen. People stop attacking you because they know it doesn't work, that they won't get the reaction they're looking for, that in fact they might end up worse than they started. You start being treated with more respect not because you're more aggressive, but because you're more solid, more predictable in your unpredictability, more dangerous precisely because you never lose control. Remember, real power never shouts, never justifies itself, never begs for respect. Real power simply is. It exists in its own security. And that calm and solid existence forces others to recognize it. You can be that man. You have the tools now. The question is whether you're going to use them or continue being a victim of every verbal bully that crosses your path. The choice, as always, is yours.